The world told us that to survive we needed more gear, more objects, more weight strapped to our backs, as if the path to freedom were paved with excess. They taught us that safety comes from accumulation and that survival is measured by the size of the backpack we drag through life. But the truth is simpler, sharper, more uncomfortable. The things they told us we need have only made us heavier. We bought equipment but lost direction. We built kits but misplaced ourselves. And now we stand in the middle of a civilization that mistakes clutter for preparation, noise for knowledge, and consumption for wisdom. Survival was never about owning more things. It was always about remembering who you are beneath the avalanche of distractions. We walk through a world obsessed with gear lists, emergency checklists, and the illusion that preparedness comes wrapped in plastic. But the catastrophe we fear is not out there in the wilderness. It is inside our own minds. The real danger is living a life so stuffed with unnecessary weight that we forget how to breathe. We carry gadgets that promise convenience but cost our clarity. We chase upgrades while our spirits downgrade. We accumulate equipment meant to save us from natural disasters, yet remain defenseless against the storms we create within ourselves. And as society accelerates, as screens devour hours and advertisements devour thought, the truth becomes harder to face. We don't need more tools. We need less noise. They lied when they told us survival was about collecting. They never told us that the real emergency is the emptiness we try to hide under piles of possessions. They warned us about scarcity, but not about excess. They made us fear hunger, but never addiction. Addiction to speed, to distraction, to appearance. They taught us to chase things that sparkle so we wouldn't notice our own dimming light. We live in a culture where the shelves shine, but the hearts go dark, where we're rich in objects but poor in presence, where the price tags grow, but the soul shrinks. We were trained to survive the wilderness, yet no one trained us to survive the modern world, a world that consumes us long before we consume anything in return. And somewhere along this path, minimalism became more than a lifestyle. It became rebellion. Because to live with less in a society that worships more is an act of quiet revolution. To slow down in a world intoxicated with velocity is a declaration of independence. To choose intention over impulse is an escape from a cage that no one sees but everyone feels. We begin to understand that the true survival kit is not found in stores or manuals. It lives within us, buried under layers of fear, expectation, and noise. And the deeper we dig, the clearer it becomes. The tools we truly need are not crafted by hands, but shaped by awareness. They weigh nothing, yet carry everything. The first real tool is attention, the ability to be fully here, fully now, instead of lost in the fog of constant stimulation. Attention is the compass we were never given, the one that points us back to ourselves when the world pulls us in 1,000 directions. The second is silence, not the absence of sound, but the presence of meaning that only arises when the noise fades. Silence is the fire we sit beside when the mind is cold. The third is slowness, the willingness to walk instead of run, breathe instead of race, live instead of perform. Slowness is not weakness, it is the strength to resist a culture that confuses haste with purpose. And as these inner tools awaken, the illusions start to crumble. We begin to see that survival was never about carrying more. It was about carrying wisely. The fourth true tool is simplicity, the art of needing little to live much. Simplicity is the shelter we build inside ourselves, a place where the wind of chaos cannot enter. The fifth is awareness, the skill of observing our thoughts instead of drowning in them, of watching our desires instead of becoming their servants. The sixth is detachment, not indifference, but the courage to release what weighs us down. Detachment frees us from the invisible chains we forged with our own hands, the objects we cling to, the expectations we surrender to, the identities we defend, even when they no longer fit. The seventh is presence, the rare sacred act of actually inhabiting the moment we're living. And the eighth, the final tool, the one they never taught us because it threatens everything they sell, is inner peace, the quiet knife that cuts through illusion, the soft flame that survives every storm. When we understand this, the world shifts. The weight in our chest loosens. The fear of not having enough dissolves, replaced by the realization that we already possess everything essential. The survival gear we were trained to buy becomes irrelevant in the face of the internal gear we were trained to ignore. And slowly, we reclaim ourselves. We discover that freedom is not found in the clutter of preparation, but in the clarity of awareness. We awaken to the truth that the heaviest burden we ever carried was the belief that we needed more to be whole. And once this illusion breaks, a new life begins. Lighter, quieter, deeper. This is the moment when the world no longer feels like an emergency. This is the moment when simplicity becomes sanctuary. We stop running toward things and start returning to ourselves. We begin to see that the modern catastrophe was never about lacking resources. It was about lacking presence. And as we step into a life guided by the 8 inner tools, we realize that survival is not about enduring the world, but embracing it with a mind unburdened. The chaos remains, but we no longer belong to it. The world is loud, but we have learned the volume of our own silence. And so the revolution begins, not with noise, but with stillness, not with accumulation, but with release. Not with new possessions, but with new vision. We walk lighter, think clearer, breathe deeper. We become the kind of survivors that no disaster can break, because our strength does not depend on what we carry, only on who we are. And in this clarity, hope rises. Not the loud, desperate kind, but a quiet hope, steady and luminous. The hope of a life lived intentionally. The hope of a mind no longer exiled from itself. The hope of a soul at peace in a world addicted to chaos. This is the truth they never sold us, but that we must reclaim. The greatest survival kit is the one we build within.